And for the sake of efficiency, let's just get started. The reason why we called this meeting is because all of us, Amanda's not here, but she did send us some notes. And even Natalie Hells, if any of you know her, she's heard some stories too. And we just keep hearing story after story. And it's been recent and it's been rampant. It's weekly now that we're hearing of these horror stories that advisors are facing from marketing gurus or SEO gurus. And so we just kind of wanted to, not kind of, we wanted to host this just as a way to be your support if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or whatnot. We're not claiming to know it all by any means, but we do want to make sure that you are being taken care of by your service providers and not paying $30,000 for an SEO audit that doesn't even work. That actually happens. So Olivia is here, and Olivia is going to be really interesting because everything that I have in my little notes kind of contradicts what Olivia is. But the reason why Olivia is going to be so impactful is because when you do it right, it works. And Olivia is proof of that. So we're not saying all of these marketing hacks or tactics are wrong. We're just saying the way certain people are going about it is very shady. So
Right.
I don't want to spend forever introducing ourselves, but I'm Nikki of Nikki Clark Marketing. That's about it. Derek and Olivia.
Hi, I'm Olivia. Oh, go ahead.
No, by all means, floor is yours.
So you have to understand the way I see all of us is Nikki is left to right, we're left to right, and I was in the middle, so I just started talking next, like as if you can all see the exact same way I can. Anyway, Olivia Looper here, founder of Lexicon Advisor Marketing. We specialize in fully outsourced digital marketing for financial advisors. So you don't have to hire in-house, but you get experts in all the greatest areas, and you get a system that works. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, I just want to second everything you both have already said. I'm Derek Pollard, founder of Constellar Creative, where we do a lot of ironing. I do want to say, Olivia. But also too, I think one of the things that has brought us all together, and I'm seeing more and more people come into the room here, which is great. It really comes back to a single word. And I don't want to belabor the point at the start, but that word is ethics. And I think that that's really what we're after today, regardless of our approach. The stories that we've heard that you have shared with us, that we're going to be reviewing some of those red flags and also some of the things to be looking for, have everything to do with doing business better. And so looking for the quick fix, trying to combat FOMO, which I'm totally done with. There's enough fear in the world. Operating from a place of not just mutual respect, but also co-creation and sustainable collaboration makes all the difference. And I think that starts with transparency. And again, I'm absolutely interested and thrilled to have a conversation where, Olivia, you had said you were in the middle of the screen of the three of us. I find myself in that same position. I'm going to be very, very curious to hear, not just from both of you, but also from the people who have joined us today and also who will join us post-event in the recordings. In terms of being able to identify needs, promises, and methods of delivery that are actually effective, that go beyond, hey, in the next 30 days, we're going to get you ranking #1 on Google search results by doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, effective is the key here. And once again, for those who are just joining, if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to put it in the chat, or feel free also to email. I mean, I'm going to open up my email. I don't claim to know everything, but I would be happy to just look over anything that you need. It's Nikki at Nikki Clark Marketing. And I want to just, Amanda is not here. She is a website. I'm going to use the word expert because she is. And I wanted to go over her notes real quick because she's been seeing a lot. And so she's here in proxy and she sends her love. Some of the things that she's really wanting to make sure is that there's big promises ranking #1 on Google in weeks. No, that's just not going to happen. Olivia, I think you can agree with that since you do a lot of work in that area.
Yeah, so just full disclosure, we first started out in 2018 as a content marketing or content agency. So we used to just produce content. That time I didn't offer SEO because I didn't know what the hell it was, right? I didn't understand it. I didn't know how it worked. And I completely understand how a lot of people feel about SEO. And I think that SEO is one of those black boxes of doom that can be, anybody with a computer, and SEMrush or Ahrefs is all of a sudden an SEO expert. Same thing, anybody with Canva is now a social media marketing expert, right? So I know where you're sitting in. I know how confusing it can all be. What are you even paying for? And I think that's what brought us here today. So as far as SEO goes, I mean, do we want to go ahead and dive into this, or?
Well, one thing I really want to make a comment on that you've said also before, Olivia and Amanda, you can't outrank or outspend Schwab or Fidelity. So keep that in mind when you're running ads. There's a right way to run ads and a smart way, and just throwing money at Google and not having a plan or purpose, which I just spoke with an advisor yesterday. He was spending 10,000 a month, which isn't bad, but he's not going to outspend Schwab. And, I can think of better ways to spend 10,000, especially with the holidays coming up. So Olivia,
Right.
what did you want to touch on?
Well, I mean, we can come back to that, but okay, let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about advertising, right? So, and this is something that I tell people when they come to me as well, because when you're talking about advertising, we got to look at a couple of things first. Who are we talking to? What are their buying behaviors? Where are they spending time? And that's going to identify where you should be advertising. We personally, as an agency, we don't advertise on LinkedIn for that very reason that Nikki is saying, because it does not work as well for small businesses. We have found in our experience, it's more advantageous for corporate spend levels. Now, in talking about the other places, where else can you advertise besides LinkedIn as a financial advisor? We can go to Facebook, Instagram, we can go to Google, YouTube, and then we can go to what is called the open web. So Facebook, Instagram, and Google, YouTube are two very small gated portions of the internet, albeit highly visited gated portions of the internet, but that's not the whole world, right? So what do we mean when we mean open web? Well, if you've ever been to a website, and then maybe 2 days later, you went to another website, but you saw a banner ad for that previous website that you were on, that's called open web or programmatic advertising. Why it's so popular is because there are over 2,500 targeting and retargeting capabilities. But whereas with Google, you've got keywords, negative keywords, and location. So we've got some more capabilities as far as targeting goes, and in finance specifically, it can be a great place to advertise. But as Nikki is saying, so in those spaces, in those three spaces, Facebook, Google, open web, it's a bidding situation, right? So when we're talking about advertising, we're bidding on space to be seen, which means whoever is paying more is going to be prioritized. However, you have to look at the marketplace, kind of like buying a house, like a 4-bedroom, 3-bath in this area is going for Y. So space on Facebook for these keywords is going for Y. Right now, the spend level is $100 to $150 per day on either each of those platforms. So if you aren't spending in that $100 to $150 range, you are not competitive, and you're not going to see the results you want. And that's, there's a lot of agencies like ours that won't advertise for less than that, because we know it's not going to get the results that you want, and we're not going to spend your money just
which is
for the hell of
awesome,
it.
by the way, because there are agencies who are taking the money, which is what we're hearing. And
that's fine if they can make it work, but
they're not.
I'm just saying for whatever purposes, you have to yes, you want to ensure that you're working with someone who has integrity behind what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, like, I mean, people get very worried when they talk to me, and I know you guys come into this too, and they're like, well, we've been promised a lot. We've been burned before. We've done all of these things. Well, what's really should be scary about that, for us at least, is like, I'm not going to do something that I knowingly I know isn't going to work, because this is not a huge industry. I don't want to get a bad reputation for, oh, well, yeah, she'll tell you that, but it's not going to work. Like, I'm not going to be around very long if that's the case. So,
Yeah,
for what
we
it's
have to think about those effects, but there's just people coming out of the woodworks, like you said, who spent 2 hours on Canva and now are a graphic designer.
Yeah.
It's just
So
not.
then,
Well, and
like,
also,
don't get me wrong, Canva's great. I think that we all use it, and it can be an excellent tool. It is a great tool for experts and non-experts alike. But because of the way that the world works now, we have access to all of these things. There's so many people that'll be like, oh, well, and I've talked to advisors too, like, oh, well, I ran Google ads, so I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm like, sure, you can throw some money into there.
Yeah.
How did it go for you? What was your cost of acquisition? Like, what were you paying? Did you get any leads? Like, because all of these tools that are at disposal, it's easy for people to hang a sign on the wall and say, I know how to do this. But
so that actually leads to a question I know a lot of advisors are going to have, based on what you've just shared with us, based on, because again, so much of what's happening, Nikki and Olivia both, and I know Amanda's stories reflected this, has to do with preying upon the fear that's been generated around not already being in this space, not already having optimized your website, your social profile, taking advantage of all of the noise around, just like we're seeing with artificial intelligence, needing to fold that into your daily operations. And so many of these firms, so many of these bad actors, we'll say, are preying upon all of the noise that we encounter on a daily basis. I'm going to advocate for social proof here, right?
Yes.
As one of the principal areas in which you can do due diligence if you're on the market for an SEO partner. But Olivia, I know you had mentioned a number of sort of back end tools and resources. Are there particular areas that you, and Nikki, you as well, would point advisors to, just to begin to get a clearer understanding, so that they know when they're having a conversation with somebody who's talking to them about SEO, they're going to be able to have the confidence to know whether that is a conversation worth pursuing, or whether they are in fact being sold swampland in Florida?
yeah, right, swampland in Florida. Okay, I guess here is why you say, oh, well, do your research, right? Well, there's a lot of articles out there on SEO, but high level, I mean, there's three areas. There's on page, off page, and then there's technical. On page is everything that you're going to be seeing on the website. Anybody who goes there can see the stuff. Of course, on page also applies to any web pages that might be hidden, but that Google is still indexing. So it's very important, just as a side note, that Google is indexing your website, and when you add new content to it, you want to be sure that you're checking that. How to see if Google is indexing your the new pages on your site? You just Google that. Okay, that is really easy to find.
And I want to talk on that real quick. What Olivia just said,
okay.
That is super important. I have a client who's had a website for 10 years, just did some, I don't know, research digging about the crawling and stuff, found out that because it was not even set up right in the first place, these are my notes I'm reading from a person I spoke with, it's not even being crawled.
Right.
Like,
No.
and
they might be paying for blog articles. They might be be putting new videos up on their website, and it's not helping at all.
They're paying for website hosting, and that's it.
And so making sure your sitemap has been indexed by Google and other search engines, right? Because this is really important. I know almost everything is keyed to either Google or Bing, but There are those of us like myself that use Brave as their browser and DuckDuckGo as their search engine, whereby a lot of these things, and this is another point, a lot of these things don't translate one-to-one. So these are important questions to be asking both yourself and prospective partners. How many of these browsers and search engines are they taking into consideration when they're talking to you about optimizing your page, optimizing your profiles? So in terms of Google, making sure that you have a sitemap that is being crawled so that it is indexed is absolutely pivotal. What a nightmare story to be spending all of that money to get absolutely nothing out of it in terms of SEO, in terms of search engine result page rankings.
And while we're on this
Right.
subject, Derek, because you had a client who just did, I think, paid for SEO, whatever. And I had one who was looking over my notes, but they were told that they had to completely redo their website, go to another hosting platform, move everything all the way over because their current website wasn't working. I don't know everything about websites like some of you here might, but I know enough that they've been active and on there for about 20 years. And I was like, absolutely not. Not only was their website honestly fine, we just needed to change a couple images and some copy, and that was it. So that was what's very frustrating is I'm hearing from a lot of advisors that they're needing to completely change over and create a full new website and lose all of their ranking that they've built up over the years. And that's not the case. And then one other thing, I can't remember if, I don't know if he's on here, but he did ask, his name's Alex, not on here. No, you should not create a separate website for your blogs. I keep hearing this over and over from advisors that they're being told you need to build a new website just for your blogs. That is a hard no.
Well, that's the first. I haven't heard that one. I mean, I know people are
girl.
moving to like Substack and Beehive and all of these places, but unless you have another end goal for using those platforms, it's not advantageous to move it off of your website. Because like, right, it's not just because you want to share information with people that are coming and show your expertise and give yourself something to write about, but you're giving Google the treasure map to tell people how to find you. SEO is the treasure map to tell Google how to get people to find you, right? If you don't build your website and add new content to it with the keywords that teaches Google, here's what we do, main things, here's the peripheral for that, so that when people go search for those main things and those peripheral things, Google knows, hey, this guy is definitely good fit. This guy is definitely a good fit. You know why? Because he's done the SEO on his website. So we know exactly what he does so that he's a good match for this person, because you have to understand it's all about, for them, the user experience. They want to deliver the best results. So you have to teach them where to put you in those results.
Yes.
It's your job.
And so we have 10 minutes. I really want to ask anyone right now if they want to unmute, if they have any questions, want to open that up. Excuse me real quick. If not, of course, chat is there, or you can message. I think we're doing okay. Checking. Okay. I think we're okay. Yeah, Steven.
Oh no, I pressed the wrong button, but I was reading some of the stuff that Olivia just posted up here in the chat.
All right.
The links.
Yeah. All right. Good. Thanks, Steven.
Cool. Yeah.
Hey, Nick.
Yeah.
Nikki, one question for you. So there's maybe half a dozen perfectly viable marketing tactics, probably more, for advisors. Can you think of scenarios where SEO is a good fit over those others and where it's a bad fit compared to those others?
Olivia, you
Do not run SEO. Oh, go ahead. You go first. Oh, you muted yourself.
I know. Go.
Look, okay, so I was talking to people about strategy, right? Like, because we have our packages that have a little bit of everything, the things that you need at certain income levels, but there's also a la carte options. So how do we decide what we're going to do? Well, you've got to have a high level strategy, number one. And I think, Nick, you know this. So target audience, who are we talking to? Where are they most likely to find you? you know, guys, that I'm big on systems, right? So we build a system, but how do we get eyeballs on those systems? It is not a good idea to spend your only marketing dollars on SEO if you do not have a website that is well optimized for conversion, because your number one goal besides getting a call booked is going to be to get someone to opt in so that you can nurture them after that. If you have a crappy website, you do not have CTAs where they're supposed to be, buttons where they're supposed to be, your user experience is not flow well, you don't want to spend your only marketing dollars sending people to your website. There's too many options and you're probably not going to get the conversion. And just for what it's worth, 85% of people will never move past your homepage. So, and if it's a bad website, it's worse than that. So your website has a lot of work to do. I highly do recommend SEO, but only if your website is prepared for it. Would you agree, Nick?
Yeah, there's no reason to send people to a website that won't convert. I think it was Mike. He was talking about how you should get a minimum viable product with pay-per-click, where you start at the very bottom of the funnel and make sure that converts before you bring more people in, or else you're just wasting time. And this sounds like this rhymes. This sounds like a principle that rhymes.
Something I've learned definitely is get your foundation set before you start adding all these fancy little plugins and projects and whatnot. I think Olivia said it a while ago because she was helping me with SEO and was saying, yeah, you can do SEO, but if you're not doing any of the other work, like the organic work and being present and whatnot, you're going to just need to have to spend more.
Sorry, Derek? I missed that. I was reading the message in the chat.
I know that's Derek, did you have anything?
Well, a couple of things, actually. One, I know one of the other things that so many of us, both on the marketing and the advising side, are contending with has to do with niching. And I think that this is one of those places where niching actually starts to come into focus. I'm really glad that at the top, we talked about the varying levels of compete that we bring to the situation, and that the major advisory firms, there's no point in even trying to outspend them. You're not going to be able to do that. They have entire fleets of departments who are doing the work of marketing, who are doing all of the back end work to ensure that they're popping up on that first page of search results. This is an excellent opportunity to really get clarity on not just the what, but the who, the how, and the why, so that you can not only design a user experience on, say, a website, but also the messaging, the copy, and the content that's going to reflect how you're positioning yourself, so that when all of those little bots go out onto the internet, as they do nanosecond by nanosecond, what they're looking for is not your advisory, which may be you yourself, maybe you and a team of 2 to 10 other people, but they're not looking for that in relation to a Schwab, right? But what they're doing is they're looking for your advisory as you've positioned it based on a very, very specific audience. So this is not necessarily to say niching is an absolute requirement, but I think this is a great tie-in for starting to figure out whether or not niching makes sense for your advisory, and some of the steps you can take both to determine how you want to position yourself and also how to then leverage that in relation to optimizing all of your digital collateral so that it is interacting holistically, forgive the word, but it is connecting and is pushing people from one point to another, so they're getting a clearer and clearer sense of who you are, what you offer, and why you are exactly the right advisor for them. It's a wonderful, wonderful chance to really start to integrate your marketing and also position yourself in a way that makes the most sense to your ideal client.
I'm going to right now, because we're running on time. Amanda mentioned do that small test trial. So can you talk on that? Well, I'm going to just enter some notes into the chat right now from Amanda. Also, that might be helpful for everyone. And Derek, can you talk on that small test trial?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this, I think, just makes sense to all of us. I don't think it will come as any surprise, but instead of going all in on a year's commitment, one of the things you can do in your preliminary negotiations with a prospective marketing partner, SEO expert, if you will, is to run through a trial period, say of 60, 90, 120 days. Again, if somebody's promising you the moon in 30 days or less, you need to be skeptical, deeply, deeply skeptical. But if they're offering you a trial period, or you come to them in your preliminary negotiations and say, hey, look, I'm really interested. I'd love to learn more. I'd love to work alongside you to get a sense of whether or not this is the right fit. Let's look at a 90-day engagement to start, along with taking a look at the social proof. Amanda had mentioned this in her comments as well. If your prospective SEO partner, if their website isn't doing all the work they're promising you, again, you have some really clear questions that you want to ask, right? They should be able to demonstrate the ability to do the work on their own marketing collateral. So that's one place to look. But make sure that you're comfortable with the initial engagement that you're agreeing to, and go into it with the mindset of a co-creator. Get a sense of what's involved. If your prospective SEO expert can't answer the questions that you have, if you're having to go in and do the research, again, there's cause for skepticism there, and it gives you the opportunity of a clear out if you've agreed to 60, 90, 120 up front. You know that there's an end date, and you can work toward moving on to the right partner if this is not the right partner to start.
So I do have a caveat to that. We do get leads for clients within 30 days.
Because
that
you're
the system is
amazing.
running. So, but I will qualify that with advertising spend.
Exactly.
So we can get you leads in 30 days if you're willing to advertise.
Yeah.
Organically, I say it takes 90 days to get the bus moving, and how quickly that moves is also going to be dependent on your collaboration within that social media sphere, right? Because as at least in our agency, we create assets and we post assets and we can market assets, but we don't do community management, meaning we're not in there having conversations with people on your behalf. We're not pretending to be Frank or Ember or Linda. We will advise, hey, spend 10 minutes a day, go see if someone has commented, check your DMs, stuff like that. We do all we can from our end, but so I will qualify that by, you can get leads in 30 days if you want to spend the money.
And
otherwise, you
want to be
build a
involved.
strong organic foundation.
Yeah,
well,
you have to spend the money, and you have to be involved. Like, that's just, if you're not going to want to be involved, like, I can't make you go to the gym and work out. So, that's going to be a big, I got a smile from Stephen Roth, but that's kind of the same thing here. Like, you want results, you're going to have to be involved, because Olivia and Derek and whoever else can't be you. I mean, we can comment on your behalf on social or reply to emails, but people see through that. They know your voice. It's hard.
Well, and the other thing too,
And
just really quickly, Olivia, the other thing too is you're
We've
transparent.
got 1 minute, guys.
Okay. You're transparent about that upfront, and also you're not over promising and under delivering there. You're very clear about what the expectations are and what the spend is going to be upfront. That makes the world of difference. So if you can deliver on that 30-day promise, that's all to the good. Just make sure, for those of you who are looking for a prospective partner, that there's, again, social proof, and there's a record of past performance that you can rely upon, so that when you're working with Lexicon, for example, you know exactly what you're going to get. Excellent results delivered before your deadline.
Mm-hmm. So we wanted to keep this to 30 minutes. I don't know if we have any other questions. There will be a recording. Feel free to email me, Nikki at Nikki Clark Marketing. We're all on LinkedIn. Olivia's everywhere under the sun. We're here for you. Like, if we can't help you, we want to make sure we can find someone who can.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us today, everybody.
Yeah, thank you,
really
everyone.
appreciate it.